All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started because it looks like people are kind of filed in. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Tracy Nyer, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center Network is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 27 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one consulting services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Business of Childcare Best Practices, is one of our educational offerings. We are recording today's presentation and it'll be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted, but if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box or the chat window, although we do prefer the Q&A box, which should be at the bottom of your screen as part of the controls. We've also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your meeting controls. Please join me in welcoming our presenters for today's session, Lauren Small and Virginia Marsh.
Thank you, Tracy. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you. I'm Lauren, and I'm the owner of Early Education Business Consultants and also a certified business analyst with the Hampton Roads Small Business Development Center. I'd like to, again, introduce my colleague, Virginia Marsh, who is Vice President, Director of Operations for Early Education Business Consultants, as well as a business analyst with the SBDC. Just very quickly, if you were here last week, you heard us talk about what our company does, but we focus on the business side of early care and education. And our company works with independent operators like many of you to really teach business, but also to consult and to really go very deep in trying to understand how to make this business model work. With this, again, focus on our independent small businesses. So we do that in a lot of ways. We have a business program that is a partnership with the Virginia Small Business Development Center, which is an in-depth business management course. We call it a mini MBA. Anyone in Virginia is eligible to apply for that. And we have a cohort starting in the spring that you could be part of this pilot program if you like, kind of what you're seeing today and think that being part of a more in-depth program might be helpful. We have a special focus on technology, and you'll hear us talk about that, how we can help early childhood providers maximize the use of technology and get it to work as robustly as possible. We're really interested in leadership and teaching leadership. We have an academy here in Hampton Roads, and then we're a hub for a Shared Services Alliance, which I'll talk about a little bit in the presentation. So again, thank you for being here. I had asked when you come into the workshop, if you haven't done so already, this is a nice chance to start getting to know one another, even though it is virtual and I can't hear you, but if you don't mind introducing yourself to the group in the chat, where you're from, what your role is, the name of your center. And I see we have folks calling in from all over the state, which is really great. So we did one last week around the HR, the workforce crisis. I know that most people in our industry right now are struggling with staffing. And our topic today, I think, is going to help just reinforce some strategies that can continue to help build our ability to navigate the workforce crisis successfully. So, this slide here you're seeing is the business program, our goals, and what these types of trainings we're trying to accomplish. What we know is that many operators in our industry have an early childhood background, perhaps started as an educator or a teacher. And so the language of business sometimes sounds like a foreign language. But what I like to say is we try to take awesome to super awesome and just fill in the blanks of your business knowledge so that you're operating with best practice and that we're building your confidence. Some of the challenges with the workforce crisis right now we're understanding has a little bit to do with fear and not being confident about making strategic business decisions. So we're going to talk a little bit, and that's really the topics today are about how do we get stronger? How do we put on that business hat? How do we look a little more strategically at our business model to make all the pieces of it work? And I really want to introduce this idea of a systems mindset, which I think is a game changer for our industry. We'll talk about the elements of the business model just from a kind of 100-foot, 1,000-foot view. And then lastly, we're going to talk about strategic goal setting and how that will help you, I'm going to use the workforce crisis as an example. And then everything has to do with business practices, best business practices. That's a buzzword in our industry, right? Best practice. So what are best business practices? So it's kind of a lot to cover in an hour. I want to encourage you to use the chat box with your questions. And, I'm a facilitator. Virginia and I are facilitators of conversation. Business is changing faster than we can keep up with it, particularly right now. So we learn a lot from each other. So if you can add something to the conversation, put it in the chat box, because we have to support one another right now, where every child needs to be in a great, well-run operating center with great people working there. So strategic thinking. So if this feels like you, go ahead and use the chat box or give me a thumbs up if this is what you're feeling right now. Our owners and directors in our industry are juggling a lot. And I know many of you are spending time in the classroom. We picked nap time to have this so that hopefully you aren't having to multitask, but that we could have your attention. But it's not quite realistic, the job description for leaders in our industry. But what we know is that we are operating a business and that we have to put on our business hat as one of our roles. And so what that requires is, even if you didn't go to business school, to have a well-run center, we have to understand the language of business. And so I want to just encourage you, and I know you get this, I know you're doing this, but that we have another hat that we play, which is our business hat. So if we look at our business model, and I don't know, you may have heard of this before, like managers of businesses work on day-to-day operations. They're in the business working, making sure that it all works. And that's extremely important. But then there's this other hat, which is a leader of a business. And a leader often is that person that looks at the business, not, is looking at it kind of strategically. So working on the business, not in it. And I think it's important that we try to balance both of those. So what I mean by that is, if you step back and look at our business model, and this is a really simplistic diagram of our business model, where we are looking at important functions of the business and simplifying it. But we have operations management, which could be considered like the services that we provide, those operational activities to provide the care, which includes compliance with licensing and our preschool development grant and all those pieces. But then we have the financial management piece, we have our marketing piece, and then the hardest part of our industry right now is our human resource management piece. And at the center of our business model is what we're here to do, our mission and the vision. And so if you step back and looked at each of those, for the model to work, each one has to be well functioning. And so even if you're not intimately involved in each piece of this, perhaps you outsource it or you have other people that help you with it, when you're the one in charge, the head honcho, a part of the leadership team, you have to understand what it needs to look like when it's functioning at its highest level with as much technology as possible. And so that means it's systems that are working. One piece of this business model is not more important than another. If one of them is dysfunctional or not working well, it crumbles the rest of the system. So sometimes you might see with, in centers that you've worked or in our industry, we put a particular focus. Like perhaps you've had a owner that really looks at the financial pieces, but then perhaps doesn't put as much attention into the quality. Or perhaps they don't do any marketing. They haven't established marketing systems. And so, you can get by for a little while on some of that, but usually it catches up with you. So I wanted you to kind of step back and look at your businesses from this higher level view and start thinking about what parts of your business, your big picture systems, are working and what are not working. They're all interrelated, as I mentioned. And what we know is there's foundational pieces to the business that have to be in place. And we saw that with COVID, that our houses kind of crumble if we don't have a good foundation for business. So establishing, again, financial business systems that are functioning, that are working well, is a key to success. And I'll explain more what we're talking about. So I'm talking about some concepts, but I'm going to, very soon show you how that looks like in practice. There's another important concept for our industry that I think is important, and just to talk about. For our business model to work, we have something called the Iron Triangle, and this was developed by Louise Stoney, who's the co-founder of Opportunities Exchange as part of the shared services movement that's happening across our country. And she says, in order for our business model to work, our centers have to, it's imperative that we are getting full enrollment, that we're collecting our full fees. So, and that those fees that we're collecting cover the true cost of care, the true cost per child. So in other words, to make our model work, we have to have all our slots full, 90 in the 90% capacity. We have to be charging a fee that covers the cost of services. And this is important because right now, where our wages are not keeping up with, other sectors that we're competing for jobs with. And we're now realizing, many of you, like today, that we have to get those wages up if we're even going to keep the current staff that we have and attract new staff. So traditionally, our industry, has in Virginia, we've been doing a pretty good job at stressed about keeping up with the minimum wage increases. But we're now seeing we got to go even further than that, we're competing with 14, 15 and on up for starting pay. So this is going to really challenge you all to think about what you're charging for the services you're offering, and are those revenues covering your expenses that are climbing very, very quickly. So strategic thinking is trying to be proactive versus reactive. It's trying to have a plan forward, and it's looking at all those pieces and how they're interrelated and how they, affect one another. But also it's part of identifying where you want to go. It's identifying areas of the business that need to be developed and working in a high functioning manner, and what is your plan forward. And again, that's part of that working on the business, not in the business. And I think that our directors, and I know everyone is just spread really thin, but I want to encourage you to maybe recognize, if we can just pause for a minute and put some strategies in place, that we're going to be able to dig ourselves out of these workforce crisis situations. Virginia, I know you and I were talking about this earlier. Do you want to add to that conversation?
Well, yeah, I think, so often we get ourselves into the crisis mode and we become very reactive. And I think that's when things can start to unravel quickly for us, because we feel like we're just playing whack-a-mole. and we're just, hitting things as they come up. We're spinning our wheels. And I think it's important to have some time as leaders in our organization to stop, regroup. I know Lauren and I do that when we're busy and things feel like they're spinning out of control. We make sure we stop, look at everything that we've got going on, prioritize. And I think that's where strategic thinking and strategic planning come into place, because when we're just playing whack-a-mole, we can miss some of the big things that are happening, and some of our processes and our, we talked last week about our onboarding and how important it is to have documented onboarding system. But when we're trying to get staff in as quickly, or if not more quickly than they're leaving, sometimes that goes by the wayside. And so we got to make sure that we keep on that strategic thinking and planning to make sure that our systems are still in place, because otherwise we start to burn out our staff. We start to frustrate our staff. We start to not include them in the bigger picture, and we lose them. And so I think it's really important to not discount how important it is, and that we really do need to take time to think about it.
So strategic planning is this process, and you may have heard of a business plan. We're really talking about something that helps you to brainstorm and test ideas before you've actually taken action or spent money. So strategic planning helps you run different scenarios. For example, with the workforce crisis, we're having to figure out, can we afford to pay people more? And how much should we increase our prices? How much is the ARPA funding going to be able to be used for bonuses? Like, we have to have that ability to run some scenarios. And so brainstorming what you're going to do before you've actually done it. And there's some other things on here, but most importantly, as Virginia was saying, like, it helps you assign your goals and your priorities and define a way forward. And again, we want to get away from reactive, fear-driven decisions to confident, with our business hat, decisions that are going to set our organizations up to not only survive, but to thrive with challenges. And so I'm moving away from fear-driven decisions, putting on our big girl pants. It can be used in a lot of ways too. We're going to talk about a real simple way to just get ideas down that has some structure, but you can take these ideas, around strategic planning and thinking, and build them into business plans, into financing proposals. Like, this is the start of how all that stuff happens. I'm going to skip this because, oops. Okay, so this is easy, and this is on our website. We'll give this as a handout. Really easy brainstorming tool to start getting those ideas down on paper. So a strategic goal has to align with your mission, but it helps you articulate what the problem is. Like, what do we got to work on? What is our challenge? And my experience has been that often what we think is the problem isn't really the problem. And so sometimes we got to, again, do that thinking and dig a little deeper. And so strategic goal setting is, and you see it on here, it's recommended to have what they call SMART criteria. You may have heard of that before. And SMART criteria are articulating your challenge, your goal, whatever it is you're going to work on, to be as specific as possible, to be measurable, actionable, to identify people that are going to help with accomplishing it. So who's going to be responsible, that we attach a cost to whatever we're doing, whether it's time or money. We start thinking about what it's going to take for us to accomplish that, and a timeline. So here's an example of what we mean. Perhaps your center is struggling with really high parents, the accounts receivable. Parents owe you all out of money. And so putting that in a language where you can tell if what you're working on and if you've achieved it. So the goal number one on here says our goal, and this is actually something we worked on with a client that said we could share it with you all as an example. So the client had really high accounts receivable. We identified that it was 27% of their monthly revenue on average for the last year. So that's pretty high. That means something's not working and they're losing a lot of money that is impacting their ability to buy things for the center and pay their staff and pay staff wages. So they knew that they had to get a handle on that. That was a bleed. And usually when you have a challenge, it's not just one thing you're going to do that's going to fix it. It's a combination of a lot of different activities. And you have to determine what activities are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, particularly when you're super busy. So we kind of work through, and this is the benefit of working with a business coach. All of you have access to Small Business Development Center analysts like myself across the state. Tracy was talking about the service. It's free, no cost counseling where you can have this objective business person help you work through what's the most practical next step. So we've determined with this client, get the payment policy up to date. You're not following your policy. That's that foundational piece, right? That we have documented best practices. She had to develop a payment procedure. A procedure is different than a policy. It's a bunch of steps that you have to take to get a process done. So a documented process. So how is she going to take the money? And consistency is key. That's what systems mindset is that we're figuring out how we're going to do something. We're going to document it. And then we're going to see if we can use technology. And then we've got a system. And that's how we do it in our center. That's our key to success. If we start deviating from our systems and our processes, then we start to waste time and money. So if our system isn't working, we've got to fix it. And that's what this client needed to do. They needed to get some better, stronger systems in place, particularly around technology that's going to help automate tuition collection, send electronic automated notifications, use automatic, like they had ProCare, so they could use the Tuition Express. And this worked for them. And you'll see we assigned who was going to help with each of these activities. I think we often think we have to do everything, but the more that you can delegate effectively to others, it's not saying that you have to do everything. You're just managing achieving the goal. And then on this sheet, we have a due date with an actual cost. And I'm really thinking about cost now, not just money, but time. Can we realistically do this right now? What is the most realistic with the time, factor that we can accomplish? You'll see down here on goal number 3, and this has actually changed, the action plan. This is old. We've got some other strategies, but this center had high employee turnover. And employee turnover is usually represented in a percentage, and it's really like how long are people staying, how fast are they leaving our center. And again, it's a calculation that can be done based on the number of staff who have left your center in the last year. Our industry average, for a long time has been about 25%. But I think that right now we're experiencing closer to 100% turnover rates. And we know primarily, it's because of the pay. If you didn't see the webinar last week, I think we had it taped, you could see it. We also did the same content on an early childhood investigations webinar. And there's a lot of strategies to put in place. And this is an example of something we did yesterday with a client. And so maybe this will help with this kind of concept we're teaching around goal setting, but also how you could put it in place immediately for the workforce crisis. So this client needs current staff, but she's also losing staff. and she surveyed them. And I think that's really smart. She made sure that she really understood what the core problem is with staff retention and recruitment. And she tried to look at it objectively, not, being emotional about it, and really try to know, what do we have control over? And that's one of the greatest benefits of surveying staff, is that you aren't guessing or thinking you know what the problem is. It's like you're going to your customers. And right now our staff are our customers. That's where we're marketing to. We're really understanding what the challenge is. I think though, we're consistently saying that people can go work other places for more money. And let's face it, our job is demanding, working with kids. We have to find people that are good fit for our industry. So figuring out how we get the pay up. Her goal is $14 an hour for her lowest paid staff by January. Virginia and I went to a conference earlier this month, and we heard that folks are looking at $15 an hour. One thing, everyone's spread across the state. A really quick thing you can do is look at what food service is paying in your community. And that's where, you got to try to compete. We're trying to compete with those jobs. So she also knew, though, if she was going to increase her pay, she has to be able to afford it. So she knows that she has to be really strong with her budget and her ability to financial forecasting. And so if you're not comfortable with budgets, if you haven't ever done a budget, Excel is a tool that's probably the best to use for budgeting. Sometimes our accounting software has budgeting in it as well, built in. But this is something, again, that SBDCs can help with. They are experts in helping. Most of them, SBDCs have a financial analyst that can help build budgets. And then our company actually has a tool that we can share with them that will make it easier. That's been customized for early childhood providers. So I want to encourage you, you have to be able to run those scenarios. This client also recognized that she's gonna probably have to increase her prices, and it makes her sick because she just did it. But what we learned at that conference, and I think it might even be more, is that across the sector, prices are going up on average by 8%. And this is a hard, particularly if you have a lot of subsidy families, because I don't think the subsidy rates are keeping up with the increase in our expenses. So you may have to consider that. And that's one of those things that we can't make a fear-driven decision. You know your families, you know your center, but that might be something that you have to seriously consider, is another price increase. Virginia, can you talk about the conversation around the copays for subsidy?
Can you be a little bit more specific?
Well, no, what we were talking about in the class around the copays that are subsidized by the state, but then perhaps having to charge additional copays.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's what I thought. I just didn't want to go rogue on you.
I know.
So as most of us know, with subsidy has waived the copays through the end of the year. I've heard a little bit of talk that may be continuing, but I haven't seen anything official. So don't quote me on that. There's just been talk. But, I think this is just my opinion, but I feel like the centers need the help more than some of the families, to be honest. And what I've seen some centers do is make sure that, well, they're charging the families because their copays have been waived, and they want the families to have some skin in the game of contributing towards their child's program. They're charging either a per family rate or a child rate instead of their copays. So for instance, one center, any family that's on subsidy, they're charging them $25 per family per week, above and beyond what the tuition is. So they're getting the full tuition from DSS, but then they're getting an additional amount on top of which they're calling the over market rate. And I think often what I see when providers are setting their rates, and I think this has created some challenges for our providers because minimum wage went up. Many providers needed to raise their prices, their tuition rates, but they felt like they couldn't because their tuition rates were going to exceed what DSS was paying for the market rate. And we haven't heard a lot, well, we've heard very little about any possibility of rate increases in relation to that minimum wage increase. And so centers aren't charging what they feel like they need to, especially centers that are primarily subsidy paying centers or subsidy based centers. So what we're encouraging, especially when copays are waived, go ahead and raise your prices a little bit and charge the families the over market rate, so that, you know, if we go back to the iron triangle that Lauren first pointed out at the very beginning, sometimes we raise the prices, but then we don't raise the prices for our subsidy families. We don't have them pay that over market rate. And so there's a gap between what your subsidy families are paying and what your parent paid families are paying. And so I think we can look at, you know, you've got to know your families, you've got to know your market, you got to know what your center can sustain, but don't throw that out as a possible solution as asking your families, if you're high quality, you're providing a good service, the families will pay more. They'll pay above and beyond their copay to stay at your center.
And what I'm hoping is that their wages are going up, just like we need our wages to go. But our business model has to work. And I think we have traditionally been an industry that is like, oh, the families can't pay more. Oh, I don't want to increase prices. Oh, and the reality is that we have staff that we have to take care of that need a living wage, that should not be living in poverty, that are providing a valuable service so that these families can work. I like scholarship funds. I like when families have some skin in the game, but I know families, there's a reason why they're on subsidy. And so that's why I'm not telling you what to do. I'm giving you ideas, because you have to do also what aligns with your mission. But if we can't make the model work, we're not going to be in business.
Well, and I think we had a lot of talk about advocacy too in the last few weeks. And I think we often, when we're setting prices, we almost roll over and play dead. And we're like, oh, our families can't pay anymore. We're going to lose our families. We can't afford to lose our families. And, you know, if you really got your finger on the pulse of your community and the families, that may be an accurate statement. But often I think we're making excuses. I think the families can absorb a little bit more. I feel like as an industry, if we charge what we need to charge to sustain our businesses and pay decent wages, good wages, career wages to our staffs, we're going to identify and better identify what the gap is between what our families are able to pay and what we're charging. And I feel like on an advocacy level, obviously the families are getting a lot more attention from the government level because of, you know, waiving copays. They've lowered the threshold, they've lowered the threshold for qualifying for subsidy. So more families are qualifying for subsidy. There seems to be a push in that direction. So let's do some advocacy work on that end and bring some more awareness to what is needed so that we can pay our staff what we need to.
Good, thank you. You'll also see on here part of this goal process, and this is helping me also maybe give you some ideas and review what we talked about last session. And this client realizes that they need to speed up their application process. So what we're seeing is people have the pick of jobs and they're interviewing employers. And so the faster you can turn around your hiring process, it's got to be almost lightning fast. So this client recognized pretty quickly she can't just have a paper application that somebody has to fill out and scan or bring back in. That whole process has to be as automated as possible, where we're saying apply now, we're getting the application, we're pre-screening, we're scheduling an interview, and we're just doing all the steps to our hiring process, but we're really trying to speed it up so that we can grab people before someone else grabs them. And the hiring platform, and we did a pretty robust conversation around hiring platforms and how to optimize those to have your jobs, show up more successfully and to reach the right people. One of the things that the hiring platforms, like we used Indeed as an example, is they have a company profile page. And that's where you can highlight your company as an employer and show your benefits and show the jobs that are open, like it, and all you have to do is, if you have used any of the hiring platforms, is see if they have a company profile like Indeed does, and capture it, like claim it, like you do with Google, like you do with all these other things. Claim your company page. This client, and what's nice about those company pages is they have the ability for employees and former employees to leave reviews. So right now, like when you think about finding new staff, it is a games on marketing effort. All the things that we did in the past to market to families, we're having to do to market for employees. So testimonials have always been a really powerful marketing strategy, because it's like, I'm not just saying I'm awesome. Look what my customers, look what my employees have to say about me. So those reviews right now are pretty important, those testimonials. We are encouraging, and this would be low-hanging fruit that I would say it would be a priority, is to ask your current employees to leave 5-star reviews. We only want 5-star on Indeed, and to explain why you're a great place to work, and get them to articulate it and write it out. And there's some, what's in it for me is that we know that they're spread thin too, that we want to get good people in. Virginia's talked a lot about this, like how important it is, especially right now, to communicate with your current staff, to include them in the decision making, to let them know that you're figuring out a way forward, that you're working as a team, like you're in it to win it together. And then she had an update career page. One of the things that we learned at this conference is, when you look at our career pages on our websites, if you have a website, that is also another very quick, I think, imperative thing that we've got to update pretty quickly. And that career page, usually we used to say, just we're hiring, and we'd have the job on there. But now we're up in our game and really using very strong marketing language to show the benefits of working at our centers, and using that career page to go really connect with potential applicants that would be a good fit, that want to work with children, that want meaningful work, and to really draw them in. And I'm going to pull up a slide right now to explain more what we're talking about. So we have a lot of benefits, and the pay is important. It's got to get up, but we also know that people who stay for a long time in our industry, find the work really meaningful and purposeful, and they love working with children, and that it's a really good fit for some people. And I think that we offer a lot of benefits to working in our industry that we don't always promote. And so I think there's a lot of space to articulate some of the other intangible free things that we offer. And then I think there's also a lot of space that we as employers have to start increasing also our benefit packages while we also look at pay. So this slide gives you some ideas for that career page. And we went over this last week, but we've added some things. And I know because most people are struggling with staffing right now, I just wanted to bring this to your attention. And we've seen some national providers doing this really well. So there's lots of examples on other websites where you can go and peek and really think about your center and what makes it special, and can you articulate it? And this is also why it's great to get those testimonials from your staff so that you can really, sell what you're offering out there to potential applicants. So I'm not going to go over this. I think you all can read it. You'll get this slide as part of the handouts. And just real quick, as part of the goal sheets, one of the things that I think, you have immediate crisis, short-term strategic, like we've got to, get things stabilized. And then once they're stabilized, there's this huge movement going on across the country where we also got to think about our retention strategies. And so people have such a pick of jobs right now. And we kind of have seen through COVID that people had a lot of time off. They had a lot of time to think about what they want to do with their lives and spend time with their families. And so not only are employees coming back into the workforce really demanding higher wages, but they're also demanding that there's work-life balance, that their employer is a great place to work. And so part of, I think, our work in our industry is also as employers to really think about what we offer to current staff to be a safe place for them, to support their well-being, to support their career goals, to support them in all kinds of ways. So benefit packages, if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they're kind of on the low level. They're just like physical, like medical care is really taking care of our physical needs. So I think we need to look at what we have and where we can start increasing it as we're juggling this fragile business model. So paid time off, most centers have that. Our vacation day, holidays, we're always usually closed. If we can pay staff for those days, that's a good start, but trying to increase where they have paid sick, personal, and vacation days. And I think the health benefits and the retirement plans are another area that we as employers have to first be educated on, like what's out there, what does it cost, and how can we help employees navigate that, even if we can't pay for any of it. And then also, how can we start paying for some of it? How can we start embedding that into our budgets and our employment compensation plans? So that's just a little bit around there. So part of this conversation around the money and the wages going up, I just want to cover this slide. We've talked a lot about it. Actually today, right now, and it's being recorded, so you'll be able to listen to the recording, is the Virginia Early Childhood Foundation is administrating the American Rescue Plan dollars that are going to be issued out to childcare centers. And so that money, it looks much like the CARES grant funding that many of you may have received earlier this year or last year. And it's being recommended that we immediately use that money for wages, probably in the form of bonuses if you increase wages on your salary scale, and that's a recommended best practice, that you have a salary scale that keeps things fair, and that compensates people for what they bring to the table in terms of experience and education, but that perhaps we're using those American Rescue Plan dollars in the form of bonuses for current staff, but also it's the norm right now that most employers are paying hiring bonuses. And everything else we talked about on here. Virginia, are there any questions in the chat box while I move back to the other screen?
Actually, I answered a couple questions. Well, one question was just about subsidy and how to get information on subsidy. So I put some links in there to ChildCARE Aware, to their subsidy page, as well as the DOE subsidy page. And I think that was it.
Okay. So the last thing that we want to talk about is this important concept that I told y'all was a game changer. I think it is. We do it in our company, and we've seen a lot of success with our clients with this. And a systems mindset is where, again, you identify what your best practice is, how you want your systems to run in your center, and that you document it, and it becomes your new best practice. And if you think about really successful franchises, like I've talked about this in other classes, but I like Starbucks. I like Starbucks because I can go anywhere in the world. I've been to a Starbucks in the Middle East, and there's a consistency of service that I can expect as a consumer because they've standardized their systems. Everybody gets trained on how to do, how to make all the different coffees. Like, they have said, this is our business model, and we have figured out the best way to do this, where we have a great service, but we're super efficient and that we can make money at it. And that's, I think, in early childhood, especially for our smaller centers where we have directors doing so many different things, we need a systems mindset more than anyone. And that's when you do that, your customers and your staff start to know what to expect. But when you think about training and delegation and expectations, that's a big thing for people, is clarity. Clarity is a component actually of being a great place to work. They call it organizational climate. Clarity means we're clear with people. They're not going to get in trouble for not doing something the right way because they didn't know. That's not fair to have expectations of people when you haven't clearly articulated and have it, documented somewhere in your center about what the expectation is. And it's deeper than just following licensing regulations. There's space in all of the systems in our business to have these business processes. And I'm not talking about losing connection with people. I'm talking about saving you time and money by running more efficiently, by identifying the most important systems and making sure that you're sticking to your systems. Parent tuition is a really good example. Once you define your tuition collection process, you have to stick to it, because if you don't, then it gets confusing for people. One person starts to do it one way, another's giving you a check, passing in the hallway. It's better that you define how you're going to do it and stick with it, and then communicate it to people. So these documented best practices are typically in the form of your handbooks, your policy procedures manuals, your management binder or operations manual. Like, I think a lot of times centers have handbooks, but if you think about your role as a director or owner, those are separate from what you're expecting with your employees. It's saying this is how this center runs. So I just want to plant a seed. I know, like, right now isn't the best time to give big projects like that, but if you're operating a center that you eventually hope to sell or turn over to another person, another director, what you don't want them to do is to walk into your job and have no idea how the place runs. And so again, important systems need to be documented. For example, how do you run payroll? What if you're the person who typically does it has an emergency and they're not there? We got to get people paid. And so that might be an example of something. And just remember, procedures are steps to your processes, and they have a time frame, activities, personnel involved, forms, maybe written policies. There's more to a procedure than just writing it out. And the systems mindset helps you effectively delegate to others. It helps you have this consistency of services that I was talking about. Let me just go back to delegation. That's a leadership trait, you know. Sometimes we can be considered people, I say people, okay, me, could be considered a micromanager. Well, you can build your confidence in delegating to others if you know, you've written it out what you need them to do, that you train them on it and let them run with it. And I think too often in this industry, we try to do so much, ourselves, and there's a lot of space to delegate. And then I like on this, when you use a systems mindset, it reduces your liability. When you think about caring for children, there's a lot of liability. We have a lot of people involved, but it also can save you a lot of time. And that's an important part of, I think with this workforce crisis, is that we have to really use the technology, think about places where we can save, where we can automate so that we're reducing the time, so that you're freeing up time to focus on other activities, on your recruitment and your coaching and mentoring of your staff. And then a systems mindset enables you, when you have those processes in place and other people can step in and do it, it's really the key to being able to take a vacation, have an emergency, step away from the center, and know that things are going to run as smoothly as possible, even if you're not there. And nobody's going to do things as great as you, but we can't have businesses be dependent on a person. The business should still continue to operate even if someone can't be there. And that enables it to be what we call that turnkey business that hopefully one day you can sell. That's how you add value to your business, when another person can purchase it and continue to be successful in running that business. And then we know it helps you to be more profitable. And I know I'm talking fast. Virginia, do you want to add anything else?
Nope, I think you got that.
Okay. In our last few minutes before we end, I want to, let me just see. We have a few tools that we can share with you all that may help. We have this tool, we'll give as a handout. It's called a Master Center Checklist, and it is broken into a director's job and what we do daily, weekly, monthly, semi-annually, annually. And it can help with the organization, especially if you're in overwhelm and you just always feel like you're trying to dig out a hole, to kind of give structure. Like, these things have to happen every day in my role, in our center, for it to run efficiently. And what we found is too, there's things that happen periodically that if they're not on this checklist can fall off the radar, like changing the mulch every April. And we came up with this checklist when we were helping to manage some centers and jumping in, not knowing anything about them, and realizing that there had to be a better process for documenting the important functions of a center, that have to happen throughout the year. So daily, weekly, monthly. I don't know if I have an example of it. I don't have that, but we're going to include that in the handouts. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the Virginia Shared Network, the Virginia Shared Services Network, which is a website platform managed by CHILDCARE Aware. Here's the website to it. As we look at saving you all time and money and looking at benefits, this is a good place to start. The platform has thousands of tools like documents, including sample handbooks, sample policies, job descriptions, interviewing rubrics, and they are the, this platform also has the Acquire for Hire, which is a, what did you call it? It's a dashboard for managing applicants. And when you post jobs in Acquire for Hire, it actually feeds on to like 7 different platforms. So that's also available here. There is a fee for this. It's about, I think, $30 a year. And so you have to evaluate, you know, putting a price on your time and if it's going to save you time. They also have discounts on there, and that's the idea behind shared services, that we're coming together to save money in our business model. And so they have some national discounts, and they also have a few benefits that may be, as we start to look at trying to provide more benefits, they have telemedicine, which is a really easy way to give your employees some access to healthcare, where they can call a doctor when they have an issue. And a lot of times it might be something that they can easily get a prescription for. So they have telemed, vision, and dental as employee benefits right now on there that are affordable as part of the National Shared Services Network. So I wanted to share that resource with you all as well. And I think, take off my AirPods. I think that's all that we have today. We'll take questions in the chat box. And then I want to encourage you all to listen to the VECF webinar or get the information around the ARPA grants. One of my clients just texted and said that the government grants look pretty good. So I think there might be some financial relief out there. We'll take questions.
Lauren, I'm going to go ahead and just close us out as we wait and see if anyone has any additional questions. Virginia's done a great job of answering those as they've come in today. We haven't had that many, but I wanted to thank everyone for attending today. Lauren and Virginia gave us another great information session that I hope you've all found something that you could use coming out of it. We will be sending out an email to everyone that has participated today with the recording, links to the slides, and an evaluation. And if you fill out the evaluation, Virginia will be sending you a certificate of completion. If you'd like to sign up for any of our other upcoming webinars or view our recorded webinars, they can be found on our website, virginiasbdc.org/training. And the next childcare session in this series is on financial management, and that is next Thursday, November 4th at noon. So thank you all for attending. Lauren, do you want to go ahead and answer
Well, someone
the question?
asked about, are there specific places to search for center grants? I think your American Rescue Plan dollars is going to be the immediate grant relief that all of us are looking for. There's lots of different places, like through COVID, that there's been some grants, like checking with your city economic development departments, I think is a good strategy to check in with them. And then don't forget, in Virginia, through the Small Business Financing Authority, it's not a grant, but it's a very well-funded and low-cost loan program that they have specifically for childcare providers. And there's a woman named Karen White who manages that program. And there's just some requirements that you have to be aware of, that the funding has to be used to buy specific
materials. It can't be used for working capital. So there's some requirements around that funding, but it's a nice loan program that may also be able to help.
Well, great. Thank you, Lauren. It doesn't look like we have any additional questions. So I hope to see everyone that attended today at our next session next Thursday.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.